Hi, I'm Upwards, and welcome to another day in the life with me, and today, with the iPhone 13 Pro. Alright, so let's quickly talk about why the iPhone 13 Pro in 2024. When the iPhone 13 Pro released back in 2021, I thought it was one of the most balanced and advanced iPhones that was released at all times. In fact, I think the iPhone 13 Pro was pretty much peak iPhone when it came out. And even today, I still think that this is one of the best iPhones that Apple's ever released. With high-end performance, high-end cameras, really good battery life, and a very competitive display, the iPhone 13 Pro was a pretty big standout for iPhones back in 2021. But how does it fare in 2024, 3 years later? Well, this is what we're going to be testing out in today's day in the life as a university student and a content creator. Potentially, this could be one of the best value for money, especially now that it has kind of reached a mid-range pricing in 2024. So if you're looking for something that has some really good specs, a really nice design, but you don't want to buy the latest iPhone, this could be a really good alternative. So I'm going to be keeping down a battery indicator on the bottom of the screen so you guys can see how the iPhone 13 Pro does throughout the day. The battery health on this thing is 87%, so it's not the greatest, but it will give you a really good idea for some of you who are looking at buying a used iPhone 13 Pro. Alright, let's get into this day in the life. Alright, so time for my first tutorial lecture. Let's head to classes. I have a couple classes this morning, so while I study, let's talk about the display on the iPhone 13 Pro. Specs-wise, we have a 6.1-inch XDR OLED panel, which just means it has extra brightness capabilities for HDR content. You can reach 1000 nits in high brightness mode and 1200 nits for peak content on HDR mode. The resolution is set to 2.8K and has a pixel density of 460 pixels per inch. This was also the first iPhone to have a 120Hz refresh rate, which was a huge game changer in my opinion. Previously at launch, support was limited, but now almost all apps support 120Hz refresh rates, and with LTPO technology, the refresh rate can dynamically refresh between 1 to 120Hz, which saves on battery life. Unfortunately, we still have the notch here, which looks pretty ugly, and the bezels aren't as slim. However, content looks super sharp and colors are vibrant and punchy on this display, especially with Dolby Vision and HDR10+ support. While it might not be the brightest and still has the notch sticking at the top, the display is still one of the best and with a super high pixel density, which matches the 15 Pro's resolution. Along with the LTPO 120Hz refresh rates, the iPhone 13 Pro's display is still better than maybe even the iPhone 15 in my opinion, apart from the extra brightness on the 15. Overall, I still think that the 13 Pro's display is still great even in 2024 and deserves an A- grade. Alright, so I finished both my tutorials for the day today, and it's currently 11:32. Our battery percentage is at 71%. Now let's talk about the performance of the iPhone 13 Pro. So the iPhone 13 Pro is equipped with the A15 Bionic chip, plus one extra GPU core, which the iPhone 13 doesn't get, and 6GB of RAM. So using all of my usual apps, launching Instagram, YouTube, Notion, Spotify, they all run really quickly and launch really smoothly. Being able to multitask, switching between different apps is also super quick, and I feel like there's nothing that the iPhone 13 Pro can't handle. Even in 2024, I still feel like this performance on the iPhone 13 Pro is still flagship worthy, and I feel like there's nothing really wrong with the performance here. Even with 6GB of RAM, the RAM optimization here is pretty smooth, and going back to apps I haven't used in a while, still loads pretty consistently quickly and launches very fast. Moving on to gaming with the iPhone 13 Pro, I tried out Genshin Impact and S49, which both ran really smoothly. Playing Genshin Impact at 30 FPS on medium settings is a breeze. Bumping it up to 60 FPS is also really smooth, and with the iPhone 13 Pro, because of its ProMotion display, you can also play Genshin Impact up to 120 FPS, which is not as smooth as 60 FPS, but the iPhone 13 Pro can still handle it, and you can still get a pretty reasonable good gaming experience, even with 120 FPS mode at medium graphics. Though the phone did get a bit warm, so I wouldn't really advise playing at 120 FPS, but it can do it. S49 was also the same story, playing 60 FPS, it also ran really smoothly. So from the performance view, there's nothing that I can complain about the iPhone 13 Pro, which is why it deserves an A grade in 2024. Alright, I gotta go to another campus, and we're gonna continue the day in the life from there.
Okay, so I'm in another campus, I'm with Louis here, and it's currently 101, we've got 64% of battery left. And we're gonna go and grab some lunch now. This guy, who's this guy? Box Out Film.
It is Box Out Film.
Yo, and this is Vin, our What's up, man? Hello. What's up, man? Hello. How you doing?
Are you gonna be in the vlog?
Yes.
Well, am I gonna get famous?
Yes.
Yes. Hello to all the 100k people that I sleep.
Okay, guys, so I'm gonna be testing out the cameras on the iPhone 13 Pro. I'm with my friend Ami.
Hi guys.
Can you guys, would you guys remember her from the iPhone 10R video? Well, she's doing it again with the iPhone 13 Pro this time.
Yep. So ready.
So, iPhone 13 Pro is equipped with a triple camera array. We've got a wide 12 megapixel, a wide, ultra wide 12 megapixel, and a 12 megapixel telephoto, as well as a 12 megapixel selfie camera. One of the coolest upgrades on the 13 Pro from the last 12 Pro is that it now has sensor shift stabilization on the main camera. Previously, only the 12 Pro Max got it, but the 13 Pro does have it on here as well, along with some upgrades under the hood with a bigger aperture and a bigger sensor. So let's see how these photos turn out in 2024.
Cameras on the iPhone 13 Pro are really solid. Using the main wide sensor, we get some really impressive photos, sharp details, great color, and a high dynamic range. You can really see the highlights to the shadows in the plants all in great detail. There is a decent amount of depth of field thanks to the wide f1.5 aperture. Just keep in mind that there's a slight scratch on the lens, which is why you might see a slight flare on the right side of the images. The ultra wide takes some really nice photos with almost no shift in colors or details from the wide. You can also take macro photos thanks to the autofocus on the ultra wide, but it does suffer a little in lower lighting conditions. The telephoto 3x is also equally as impressive as the main and ultra-wide sensors. However, the processing can make images look a bit over-sharpened. We get some really nice compression from the background and skin tones and faces look natural. One area that really makes iPhone cameras stand out is that the viewfinder matches the final images. Unlike some Android phones that have to process photos after you've taken it. Selfie photos look great as well and provide some great detail.
And on the iPhone 13 Pro, all the cameras can shoot up to 4K 60 FPS, which is pretty cool. And the quality on the cameras are actually really impressive. Like even vlog worthy. Just like this. We got some really impressive dynamic range, some really nice colors, and the microphone quality is also pretty good. And even on the selfie camera, I think it's still pretty decent. Like this is some pretty good exposure, levels, dynamic range. For a selfie camera, it's probably one of the best on any iPhone.
Overall, the cameras on the iPhone 13 Pro are really solid and still stand out in 2024 for its great dynamic range, variety of lenses, sharpness, and reliability. While it may not have a high resolution above 12 megapixels and it doesn't have any particular special features, the balance of cameras are still very impressive and beat out most mid-range phones launched this year. For this, the cameras deserve an A- grade.
I was also gonna say like, setting.
What's up? This is Elisha. What are you doing? What are you studying?
I study law and health, but I have no classes per se. I mean, I finished my class. I would say.
Yeah, do a kickflip. Whoa! Remember doing that in high school? Hey guys, say hi to my vlog. Hello. Hello. We're short. Oh, you already. Oh, okay, we are now getting some bubble tea. Yay! Okay, thank you. Salamat.
I believe it. Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah.
I respect that so much.
Wait, so Vincent,
What's better?
From Sam.
what's your name?
Okay, so let's talk about the features, the design, and the software of the iPhone 13 Pro. So the iPhone 13 Pro has a pretty classic design. It looks pretty much like the iPhone 12 Pro and the 14 Pro, but I still think it looks pretty good. We've got this stainless steel sides and the frosted glass back, but like this phone here, it is cracked, so it's not that durable. But the stainless sides do make it feel a lot more premium, and I do think that the design of the iPhone 13 Pro is just very nice in general. It does feel a bit more heavier, and the bezels on the fronts are a little bit thick, even in 2024, but overall I do think that the design of this iPhone 13 Pro is pretty nice. Now taking a look at the features, we get wireless charging, MagSafe obviously, we do get IPA68 water and dust resistance, stereo speakers, and we should expect about 3 more years of software support with iOS 18 coming soon later this year. It won't get any of these AI features, those are only reserved for the 15 Pros and above. But overall, I do think that the design, the features of the iPhone 13 Pro is quite good. And I do give this an A- grade. Alright, so I'm gonna have to head home soon. Talk to you guys when I get home. Alright, so we finally reached the end of my day in my life. It is currently 7:22 and our battery percentage is at 8%. So let's take a look at the battery settings to see how the battery performance of the iPhone 13 Pro has done throughout the day. So with 8% left at 7:22, our screen on time has been 3 hours and 32 minutes. And this is honestly not too bad for a phone with a battery health of 87%. However, if you're looking at a phone that has a battery health under 90%, this is kind of the performance you'll be expecting. And to be honest, it's not the best, so keep that in mind. For the battery performance rating, I'm giving it a B-, but if you can find an iPhone 13 Pro with a better battery health above 90%, then I would say go for gold. I think the iPhone 13 Pro can do much better with a much more healthier battery health. But this is what we're working with today, and that is why I give it a B-. Now let's talk about the iPhone 13 Pro as a whole. Starting off with the display, we do get a really nice 6.1-inch XDR OLED display. Overall, as a whole package, the display on the iPhone 13 Pro is actually really good. I think that the iPhone 13 Pro's display might be even better than the latest iPhone 15's display. Moving on to the performance on the iPhone 13 Pro is still top tier and flagship worthy, and that's pretty much enough for all the tasks and multitasking that I do throughout the day. Even playing Genshin Impact with 120 FPS is even possible, and going down to 60 FPS with medium settings is a breeze for the iPhone 13 Pro. Moving on to the cameras on the iPhone 13 Pro, we get a really nice triple camera setup, and even today in 2024, I still think that this camera setup is still really relevant and even holds its own against most of the phones that are released today. Now, it doesn't have anything that stands out particularly, but as a whole package with a really good wide, ultra-wide and telephoto lens, I think that the iPhone 13 Pro's cameras are still really good even in 2024. Finally, looking at the features and the design of the iPhone 13 Pro, I still think that the iPhone 13 Pro looks really nice even in 2024. You get IP68, stereo speakers, wireless charging, MagSafe, all of those nice little things, and of course there's a 5G phone. So on that side, with the upcoming iOS 18 and probably 2 to 3 more years of software updates, the iPhone 13 Pro still has a really good feature set. Alright, so calculating all of our gradings for the results for each of these categories on the iPhone 13 Pro, the iPhone 13 Pro gets a final grade of a B+ or a 78 out of 100. So for this grading, I would recommend buying the iPhone 13 Pro if you can get one in a really good condition at around $600 or lower, depending on the condition of the iPhone. Now, $600 is just my value recommendation, but I'm sure you can find the iPhone 13 Pro at a much cheaper price. If you can get around $500, $400, it's still a really good package overall. Alright, so that wraps up my review on the iPhone 13 Pro. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.